But that's the way forward.
Impeachment how, sir?
Has to
So,
be
but then the matter goes. So, 1 minute. So, may I ask you this: in a case like this of Supreme Court, of a High Court judge accused and prima facie found guilty of an act of corruption, then should the judge not have been asked to resign, or should he have been impeached? What would the court have done? What were the options before the Supreme Court Collegium?
Let us articulate it correctly. You are suspecting that there is a strong suspicion that he's guilty of corrupt practice.
Yes.
You don't even have to go to the extent of prima facie guilt. On this, what would you have done to a civil servant?
Sacked him or suspended him?
No, you would have suspended him and ordered an inquiry.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
That's natural justice. So suspend him. How do you suspend a judge? Withdraw judicial work.
Remove him from all benches.
And order an inquiry. Now, inquiry by whom? Because give him a fair chance. If it is an inquiry only by judges and tomorrow they find that he has a good explanation for this money, what will it look like to the public? That it's an in-house job.
Yes, it would look like an in-house job without doubt, Mr.
By an
Salve.
independent panel, you can have a judge and have two outsiders, two eminent Indians, and get an inquiry report. If a report comes by three people, nobody can say that this is the executive which has pressured you to get rid of a judge they don't like. Nobody can say that Supreme Court has done an operation cleanup. It will look like the judiciary applies the same standards to its own, as it rigorously insists, are applied to people in public life.
So, but then this is a case of double jeopardy. In that case, the first action is of the act of corruption of the judge concerned, Justice Yashwant Varma. But should we not be open enough and honest enough and outspoken enough to say that the second mistake is that of the sitting Chief Justice of India, Justice Sanjiv Khanna? Because he led the collegium and he merely... So did the Chief Justice of India, current sitting Chief Justice, not make a grievous mistake by merely transferring him?
I don't mince my words. I'm sorry that the collegium has taken this kind of a decision. And I was saying it's wrong for so many reasons. One reason I have already given you, or what should have been the reaction. The second reason, what is the message you are sending? That he's not good enough for Delhi High Court, but he's good enough for Allahabad High Court. Is that not a disparagement of the Allahabad High Court?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely it is.
And I've always criticized this transfer policy on the ground. See, it is different where you said justice should appear to be clean. And therefore, if some judge has a relative in some court, you move him to another court, not because you suspect, but you say there should be no scope for allegation.
Precisely.
That's a different reason.
Yes.
But when you transfer a judge in a situation like this to another court, what are you treating the other court as, a dustbin?
So what should the Chief Justice do now, sir? What should the Chief Justice of India do now, sir?
According to me, the system, and I'm not using the word Chief Justice, the system has to react to this challenge. The challenge is to the Chief Justice, the challenge is to the government. Because I have always said that the responsibility for maintaining judicial standards cannot be left to the judges alone. This is the ground on which I criticize the NGAC judgment. The executive government has a vital stake. The elected representatives also have a vital stake in the survival of democracy. And democracy cannot survive if people lose faith in the honesty of judges. Incidents like this, where a judge is allegedly found with large sums of cash, speak the worst about the judiciary. Please, we need an inquiry. And an inquiry has to be by an independent body.
Sir, but now I'm told, just breaking news now, as we speak of this minute, that the Supreme Court has said we will do, apparently, an in-house inquiry procedure. It has to be in-house, the Supreme Court says. We will have an in-house inquiry procedure while we transfer him, and he's been sent on leave for the moment, but he's not been removed from the bench. Is the Supreme Court doing the right thing, sir?
See, the first thing is to make a mistake. The second thing is to double down on your mistake. If it is a case which calls for an in-house inquiry and if he has to be sent on leave, it is exactly what I am saying. You need an inquiry